Joining me now is the Commissioner of the FDA, Dr. Marty Makary. Dr. Makary, good to have you here on Daily. So we know that podcaster, friend to President Trump, Joe Rogan, was actually in the Oval Office with you when the president signed this executive order. I want to play a portion of what he said.
I want to tell everybody how this happened. I sent President Trump some information. We have a gigantic opiate problem in this country, obviously. With one dose of ibogaine, more than 80% of people are free of that addiction. With 2 doses, it's more than 90%. I sent him that information. The text message came back, sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it. It was literally that quick.
So we do want to note, Commissioner, that experts tell NBC News the success rate of ibogaine is actually closer to 30%. But tell us more about what went into your agency's decision to fast-track the review process. Was it actually as quick as Joe Rogan said?
Well, first of all, if you're a veteran who's been struggling with suicide and addiction, and you've had a complete remission and success from ibogaine or one of the psychedelics, your success rate is 100%. And given that many of these wars that people volunteered to serve in have resulted in a lot of tragedy, we owe it to them to get a decision out quickly. So as the research has been developing in the field of psychedelics, what we call serotonin 2A agonists, we have seen some potentially promising data. And so ever since President Trump came into office, we have been actively looking to see how we can facilitate the review of these applications by cutting the idle time, delivering decisions with a sense of urgency without cutting any corners on safety. So we're very excited about the applications that are on their way. They should arrive at the FDA soon. We're going to see what they show. We're not going to prejudge those applications, and we're going to do our job at the FDA, but we are going to get decisions out quickly in our new National Priority Voucher Program.
Yeah, Commissioner, tell me more about that, because I think the key here is these trials should be safe. Everyone wants to see new treatments for veterans, especially suffering from PTSD. But how will these new trials be conducted, and what's the timeline here? How long could it take for potential FDA approval on ibogaine or other psychedelics in this category?
Well, in that historic moment at the Oval Office that you showed with Joe Rogan and President Trump and Bobby Kennedy, we announced at the FDA the first ever investigational new drug clearance for an ibogaine derivative called noribogaine. And so this paves the way for human studies in the United States. Now, that is the most immature of all the drugs in their progression through the FDA trial process. That's because it has the most safety concerns. People have died from ibogaine. And so we want to make sure it can be delivered in a safe fashion. That's why the trials will be done with the appropriate supervision, or what we refer to as a REMS at the FDA. Other products are coming to fruition, and those applications have blossomed. We expect them in this summer. Potentially by the end of the summer or fall, you could see the first FDA decision on one of those products. And it's not just for PTSD. We see now over 40 trials in progress for conditions like alcohol addiction, for opioid use disorder, for traumatic brain injury potentially, and other addictive, debilitating mental health conditions. So we want the world to know that we are treating our mental health crisis, particularly among those who served in wars on behalf of this country, that we hear you, see the data, and we're going to act with a sense of urgency to get these decisions out quickly.
Commissioner, tell people how they can get involved if they want to be a part of these trials.
So there are over 40 companies now that are running ongoing clinical trials that Americans can enroll in. Also, if we have phase 1 clinical trial that has gone through the system, we also announced that there will be right-to-try access to some of these medications like ibogaine. Other medications already have right-to-try access in this category known as serotonin 2A agonists or psychedelics. And finally, if we get an FDA decision out that ends up being an approval, as early as a matter of months from now, it will be available under the direction of a physician. So these are not the types of medications you just pick up at the pharmacy or buy by mail order, but it will be in a supervised clinical setting.
Commissioner, you said there have been people who have died from using ibogaine. What makes you confident that there is enough scientific evidence to support testing this on humans, that it is safe?
Because doctors are using an ICU setting for the administration of ibogaine. So, for example, one of the issues with ibogaine is that there can be an electrolyte imbalance in the heart during the administration. Well, if somebody is in a controlled medical setting, that electrolyte can be replenished in a safe setting. So that's an example of how physicians in other countries have been able to address the potential risk of adverse events to prevent anything bad from happening. That's the goal. But those are exactly the conditions by which the companies who propose these products to the FDA will also explain, because they have to put together a plan on how to minimize the risk of an adverse event.
All right, FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary, thank you so much for your time and joining me on Daily today.
Thanks, Vicki.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.